Hey, and welcome back to our maths videos. As you can see, I've dressed up for the occasion. A couple of weeks ago in class, we were talking about the most embarrassing outfits you owned, and I was talking about the fact that to my Year 10 farewell, I wore this purple suit and had purple hair. My class asked me if I still had it, and I said I did, and so they dared me to try it back on again, and for some reason it still fits, so I'm wearing it today, because we've got to class it up. All right, so today we're talking about square root. The other day we talked about square numbers, and we talked about what it meant to have square numbers. And we said that square numbers were numbers where four squared would be a square that goes 4 and 4 up and 4 across. And so if you had them all in by themselves, 4 squared would just mean 4 times by itself. So that squared number basically means it times the number by itself. I'm just going to swap my thing over at the moment. So 5 squared equals 25 because 5 squared is 5 times 5. Now today we're going to talk about the square root, and you'll see this symbol here. That, I'm not sure if you can see it properly, so I'll go over it in this texter. That is called the square root. Now the square root, it looks a bit like the division symbol. You know, when you do like that, has this little pointy thing here. Now the square root is basically the opposite of square numbers. If square numbers are timesing a number by itself, so 4 times 4, the square root of a number is which number had to be multiplied by itself to get to that number, right? So if you had a number like this, the square root of 25, you would go through your head and think which number times by itself would equal to 25. Now we know 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, and 5 times 5 is 25. That is our number. That means the answer would be 5 because the square root of 25 is which number times by itself equals 25? The answer is 5, right? So it's basically the opposite. If you know squared numbers, right, then you should be able to know square root because it's the opposite. Which number had to be times by itself. So picture like a square root is like saying, okay, so square root is saying, if this was 25, how many would each line be? 5 by 5, right? So let's go through a couple more. So if we have the square root of 64. Now you might have a really good recall of multiplication facts and know it easily. If you don't, then start from a number that you think is going to be right and then just guess and check. So you go, is it 7? 7 times 7, 49. Is it 8? 8 times 8, 64. It's 8 because 8 times 8 equals 64. So the square root of 64 is 8. Which number times by itself equals 64? Easy one. What's the square root of 100? Which number times by itself equals 100? 10. 10 times 10 is 100. Now some numbers, let's rip this off actually. It's going to get too confusing. Oh, that is my last sheet. Uh-oh. Did not realize that. That's going to cause some problems. Is this going to even work? Okay, what's the square root of 8? Now there is an answer to that, but it's got to be really, really hard. Now when they say the square root of 8, well think about it, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. 8 does not make a square. So you can't really give me the square root of 8 as a whole number because 8 doesn't make a square. So to make a square number, it has to be a number that can make a square. So let's look at 5. Is there a square root of 5? No, because you can't use 5 blocks to make a square. So to make a square root of a number, it has to be a number that can be divided by itself. All right? So that. 10 times 10 is 100, 11 times 11 is 121, 12 times 12, 144. So the answer is 12. So the square root of a number is which number times by itself equals the end up number there. Now it can get quite large because you have the square root of 256 or whatever it would be. And by then you would just probably guess and check. So guess and check. So if you had the square root of quite a large number, you would try like 20 times 20, or 21 times 20, 21, 25 times 22, 25 times 25, sorry. And you would see how close you get, and then you just adjust it back and forth. That's the best way forward with square roots of large numbers. You start somewhere, you have a guess. If it's too low, you go high. If it's too high, you go lower, and you just adjust it. Now this last little bit is just going to be a little extension activity for those people. What you will see sometimes. Now remember, this is not needed. You don't need this at the moment in year 5 and 6, but I'm just going to put it in there for those people. If you ever see this, that means the cubed root. Now the cubed root is the opposite of you cube a number. So the cubed root of a number is which number times by itself 3 times would equal to that number. So you'd have to do it 3 times. So you'd have to say 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So the cubed root of 8 is that, right? Let's try another one for that. Cubed root of, I hope this works. All right, let's try 3. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. Doesn't work, let's try 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4, 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times that is 24. 64. The cubed root of 64 is 4. Now that is like year 6, year 7 work. We don't need to worry about that. At the moment, we're just worrying about square root, but I might throw a couple of extension questions in there for some of you just to see how far we can go. But remember, today's lesson, the square root of a number is which number times by itself would equal the number down the bottom. Okay? So, like I said, what is the square root of 49? 6 times 6 is 36, doesn't work. 7 times 7, 49, that must be it. So this is the square root. So I hope that's sort of been quite easy for you to understand. There'll be some questions in there like that, and then they'll get a bit harder. As they get harder, you're just gonna have to guess and check, and there might be some extension questions right at the end. You just do what you can. If you ever have problems, write down what you're having problems with. Let us know. I can go through a separate video and make it a little bit easier for you. I hope that's helped. Thanks for watching.